Hello friends, and welcome back to r/MaliciousCompliance. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP deals with a rude troublemaker. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. A short but fun story. So this happened over the summer. I'd worked at the local park near my house. It has a campsite, a lake, and 2 beaches. I'd worked on the general maintenance crew. So there are those spinning things at one of the playgrounds, and due to safety reasons, you aren't allowed to have picnic tables under them, but lazy parents use the picnic tables so that their younger kids can get up without their help. So when I was doing my rounds, I saw the infraction, so I naturally went over and asked the kids to get off the picnic table. Enter entitled mom. EM. What are you doing? Me. Oh, I have to move all the picnic tables off the gravel around the play structures. It's a safety hazard. Well, we're watching them, so it's fine. Sorry, miss, but rules are rules. At this point, I'd already pulled the picnic table out of the gravel and was about to leave. Well, we're just going to put it back when you leave. I had a long day already. It was hot and sweaty, and I wasn't dealing with her BS, so I decided to hook up the picnic table to my vehicle and pull it 150 yards away at least, and went on my merry way. I would have said, "Good luck moving it back, jerk." What can you do? Typical Karen. And our second story. Ignore me when I tell you the counterfeit machine is broken? Okay. So this happened a couple years ago. I worked at a fast food restaurant and we had a scanner machine to check if money's real or not. One day I touched the machine's sensor and noticed that it still scanned my hand as money. I did this with paper as well and concluded that the machine was broken. During the same shift, I had one manager that did nothing but sit on her butt all day and only help us with orders if we were more than 20+ minutes behind. I tell her about the machine and she says she'll check it later. See, I'm supposed to scan a bill that's 10 or 20, and for 50 or hundreds, I have to give it to a manager to check. A few hours go by and she still hadn't checked it. By this point, I'm checking every bill that's $10 or 20 by holding it up to a light, which can be seen as rude to a customer. One customer complains to me and calls my manager over. The customer complained how I was discriminating against her. I wasn't, and I shouldn't be checking a $10 bill like she's a criminal. Instead of defending me, as the machine was broken and she hasn't checked it, she began yelling at me in front of this customer. I told her that the machine was broken and I needed to check each bill the same I would if the machine was working. She then, without even checking the machine, said to just use the machine and said, "Who would even use a counterfeit $10 or $20 bill?" I decided the argument wasn't worth $9 an hour and just complied. I quickly scanned every bill until I saw 2 shady-acting women. The first woman handed me a $20 bill that was obviously fake. I didn't even have to check it. It felt and looked like paper. I decided I'd just follow orders and scan it. Since it went off, I put it in the register. The second customer came and handed me a similar counterfeit bill. I did the same thing. Later, when my shift was about to end, my manager counted my drawer and found the 2 counterfeit bills and freaked out at me. I zoned out for most of it, but it mostly consisted of her calling me dumb for not noticing this obviously counterfeit bill and how I'm going to get fired. Well, what actually happened was the regional and general managers called me to fire me before I told them the story. They then checked the cameras and listened to our conversations about the machine being broken, then concluded that the manager was in the wrong for 1, not letting me check the bills, and 2, telling me to use the machine that I explained was broken. She was then fired and saw her working the cash register at a grocery store. Hopefully she checks if she gets any counterfeit bills. Edit. So I kind of ran through the whole process with me about to get fired, so let me further explain for those who are confused. The firing didn't happen the same day, as they count my drawer at the end of my shift. My manager would have found out about the counterfeit bills earlier if she did her job and took money out of my drawer after I reached a certain amount of money, but again, she was a lazy sack of crap. Anyways, after it happened, she sent me home as it was the end of my shift, and it wasn't until my next shift a few days later, I was in high school so my shifts were far apart, that the regional manager and general manager were in and talked to me. They didn't come with the notion that they were going to fire me, but they did realize the machine was broken after I left, so it was more to see if I scanned the bill. If I did, I wouldn't be fired. If I didn't, I would be fired because then it's my fault and not because of faulty equipment. I told them my story, worked the rest of my shift, and later found out that the manager was fired. I'm not sure if this was the last straw for many reasons to fire her, probably, or just this instance. But yeah, that should clear up some timelines and explain some things. I ended up quitting a few months after. Entitled mother in my backyard. So I'm a little old to be sledding, but I still like to. There's a hill behind our house. We live next to a small lake that's surrounded by hills. Anyways, me and my brother were sledding and having fun. We left our gate unlocked because that's where we store our sleds when we're not using them. So we were sledding and we were the only people on the hill. It was great. We made a giant jump and we go down it and land on the frozen lake. It's Alaska. There won't be a clear snowless day until March. I hope it's March at least. Then EM shows up. She has her 3 little demon spawn behind her and a horrible look on her face. She's pulling on EK in her sled, and the other 2 are trailing behind, fighting. Okay, first, there's only 1 tree near the sledding hill, and it's at the very top. EK2 and 3 see that there's a poor squirrel in said tree and decide it'd be a good idea to capture it and pet it. I knew it wouldn't end well, and since EM wasn't doing it, I kept my eye on them. They climbed up the tree and started throwing acorns at the squirrel. Then it happens. The squirrel jumps from the tree and lands on EK3's hood. It then runs away, clearly shocked. EK3 freaks out, and I start maniacally laughing because that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. EM doesn't like this, so I stop and offer help. Can I help? Yeah, you can. Do you have any Band-Aids? No, but I live right there. I can go grab some. Thank you. I go through the gate, grab them, and come back. Here you go. He grabs them and helps EK3. Stupid squirrel, they should be exterminated. Mommy, do you think it was a flying squirrel? No, EK2, flying squirrels are not real. They're imaginary, like Indian elephants and unicorns. What idiot is this person? Flying squirrels are in my backyard all the time in the morning. I leave nuts out for them sometimes. I don't say anything, we keep sledding. Later, I want to switch sleds, so I go back to my house and grab one. EM sees this. When she thinks I can't hear, I was lying on the ground because I went off the jump really hard, she says, EK1, go grab a sled from this girl's backyard. Excuse me, you can't do that. Those sleds are mine. I don't really want to lend them out. Nonsense. She goes to grab a sled from my backyard. Excuse me, ma'am, but you're trespassing on my property and I will call the police. No, you won't. She then sees my chicken coop. If you call the police, I'll set your chicken coop on fire. She takes out a frickin' lighter. No, you don't, B. Now, you may be wondering where my older brother was. He has autism and wasn't paying attention, so he was still sledding. Then I hear this. Why are you stuttering? Yeah, are you the R word? Now, we never talk about being stupid or whatever in front of him, and by the way, he's the smartest person I know. Hey, you kids, stop teasing my brother. Don't you dare yell at my little angels. Well, all this is happening, and my dad was making his bed. His room's looking out into the backyard, and he sees and hears what's happening. He called the police and runs down. Meanwhile, I'm yelling at this lady and her little brats. Then she slaps me. WTF, you B? I move to defend myself because she's freaking out now, slapping me, yelling slurs at me. Then it happens. Something that hasn't happened in a long time. I have a small panic attack. I sit down and try to calm down, but it's kind of hard with the brats yelling at my brother and EM yelling and kicking me. My dad finally makes it down with his gun. He wasn't going to hurt her, but his window is really far up and he was confused about what was going on. Stop! Ah, I'm calling the police! He had the gun down before he yelled, but apparently it was still threatening, even though it was 10 feet behind him. I'm not threatening you, B. He then runs down and pulls her away from me. Get away from my son, you effing brats! They run away crying. Then the police show up. What's going on, sir? This man assaulted me. I'm still lying on the ground, sobbing, trying to calm down. Once the police notice this, they walk over to me. I did not. This lady broke into my backyard and started kicking my daughter, and her kid started harassing my son because he's autistic. No, he did not. We have cameras in our backyard. They're still there. My dad shows the police. Ma'am, you're under arrest for harassment, trespassing, breaking and entering, and I forgot what it was, but it was about threatening to set fire to my chicken coop, as well as animal cruelty and child abandonment. They arrest her, but she doesn't go down without a fight. She kicks and screams and yells horrible slurs. Also, my bro was fine. He was really glad he was wearing his GoPro too because he wanted to show people. Also, the policeman who helped me was really nice. And our last story. I can't leave 30 minutes early? Okay then, no more free labor. First job out of college, got my dream job as a media buyer at an ad agency. I was salaried, and this was before laws that force employers to pay overtime to salaried employees. I was gung-ho, coming in early, leaving late, 45-plus hours worked before Friday, ate lunch at my desk in 15 minutes instead of a full lunch break. Within a few minutes, I caught up on the previous person's backlog, and because I instituted some more efficient systems, the job that wasn't being completed in 60 hours by the previous employee was getting done in 45 or 50. After a month of straightening and cleaning, rearranging files on Friday afternoons, I literally had nothing to do. I asked for more work. Nothing to do. So one week, my son had a school event, and I asked if I could leave 1 hour early on Friday. I was told by the office manager that you are paid to work at least 8 hours a day. Even if you have 40 hours by noon on Friday, you still need to work your full 8 hours on Friday. You can come in early on Friday so you can leave early, but you need 8 hours. I explained that I'd been working 10 hours a day every day and didn't think it was unreasonable to ask for 1 hour on Friday, especially when my work was done by noon anyway. She didn't care, so I came in early on Friday and left early. That was the last time I came in early, and after that I never stayed late. I literally watched my clock and dropped everything when I reached 8 hours. I took my full lunch break. Within a few weeks, everything was late. My boss called me in and I explained the situation and that it could be worse without all the efficiencies I instituted. He agreed that the job was a 60-hour job that I could finish in 45, so I got a small raise, and the overtime solution ended up being that if I had to work extra hours, I would be compensated 2 times my effective hourly wage, and if my job was done, I could leave early. This also started the downfall of the manager. A couple months later, the other 4 employees got fed up with her enough to call a group meeting with the boss, resulting in manager getting fired. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.